Right, can anyone hear me now? Please reply in chat if you can hear me. It looks like I'm registering on my dials now. Great, oh wonderful. So I upgraded to my Windows to 1903 over the weekend, and it looks like that actually did something and disconnected my microphone, my default microphone feed into OBS. So okay, I do apologise for that. So that's going to be a really weird kind of start to the stream. So okay, so I'll ask to start again. Let's get some music in the background just to kind of chill that bit out. So there we go. Okay, so as I was saying, this is a completely impromptu stream. I wasn't planning on streaming at this time on a Sunday. Don't normally do it, but I was working on the bot, and I thought I might stream what I'm going to do. So this is going to work on AlphaBot today. It won't be a very long stream, but we'll see how far we get with it. And the idea is that I've noticed that in a lot of streams, the streamers' bots have a project command, exclamation point project, which basically gives information about what the streamer's working on currently. I have a stream deck button, which is working on, and I can click that button. But it'd be good for us to have the exclamation point project command as well. Now, one of the wrinkles of doing that is that in my bot, up until now, the commands have never accessed the local database. They've always called out to APIs to get information. For example, the launches command will call out to launch calendar site somewhere and get that information about rocket launches. And the same with our ask command. That reaches out to cognitive services to answer any question you might want to type into the chat. So I didn't want to suddenly start to inject a repository into the commands. I'd rather kind of stick with the same pattern of using an API. And so what I've done, I think on Saturday, I put a GraphQL endpoint onto the bot and stuck a GraphQL client in there as well. Now you've seen me do that a couple of times now. I think we first did a long series of streams about GraphQL, building an endpoint, and then we kind of put GraphQL clients in on at least 3 projects on previous streams. So there's no need for you to see that. If you want to know how to do that kind of stuff, then just go back and look at previous streams. They're all up on YouTube. And I'll just type in my YouTube channel for you. So go over there and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. It's completely free to do so, and you'll get notified when the new video goes up. So all the archives are there, so right from episode 1, and you can see how the stream's kind of changed and evolved over time. Okay, so I think let's go over to the code. Gareth, thank you for the subscription. I think that warrants some hyperspatial hype. So here's Alf in all his glory. He's actually over on the other screen. So let's pop over to the coding screen. There's some hyperspatial hype for you. Thank you very much for that. That's 3 months in a row. Thank you very much, Gareth. That's wonderful. So there's an infinite number of Alfs. So how are you, Gareth? I noticed that you were in Fritz's stream a bit earlier, and also having long conversations on Discord. So it seems like you've got someone interested in your bot there, so that's good. Okay, so here we are in the code. We're actually in the bot class here at the moment, but first thing we need to do, we need to have a place where we can actually enter the project data. So all we're going to do is have a text field really, where we can enter what the project is. So let's do that. So over in the core project over here, you can see we've got a data folder, and here we have our data entities. So currently we've got 2 entities. We've got startup message and timed message. They both do extend data entity, and they're quite simple little classes. So this is the startup message class. So what we're going to do, we're basically going to create one of these to hold the project data. In fact, what we can do, we can create it down here. So if we build a class, and we'll call it project text, and we need some properties for that, and the only property we really need is we need just a string. So we'll call that property just text, and that's about all we need really in there. Now, in this class above, we actually do have a way of setting that text to a constructor. So we'll just basically pick the same kind of idea and do the same thing. So we'll just say string text. We don't need any of this. We can simply say that text equals text, like that. Okay, so that's our basic data class. And what we're going to do is we're going to extend the data entity class, and that gives us an ID basically. Okay, there we are. So let's now move this into its own folder, and there we are. Sorry, we need to rename that bit there. There we go. Okay, so that's our project text model. You're having fun, Gareth. That sounds good. So there's lots of activity on Discord today, I notice. Okay, so we need to now go over to our implementation. So we need the entity framework repository. So all of our data entities, they're accessed via this repository here. Okay, so you can see there it is. And we need an app. There's an app context, so we need to go to the app context. Let's go over there to app context. This is the snapshot. Okay. So this looks like one of the migrations. So let's continue to pop around. There's another migration. App context. Here's the app context. Okay. So here we need to define our DB set. So that we get the database access, and it will auto create. Could you just excuse me 1 second? I'm just going to go and be right back. Apologies for that. That was a phone call, and I've got to be aware of the phone call just because I've got an elderly mother-in-law who I need to keep an eye on. So any phone calls I need to take. So sorry about that. So let's get back to it. So where were we? We need to add our project text table into this. So let's do that. And this is going to be called project text. And this is a type project text. Go. Okay, and that should then build us that table in our database when we run up. Okay, so let's actually do that. Let's run the bot. You'll get a message in. Yes, Gareth, she's fine, but just need to keep an eye on that phone for that. Let's run up and let's make sure that we get our table created in our database. Okay, so you'll get a message in chat to say that AlphaBot is accepting commands. There we go, so we can close AlphaBot down now. Like that. Let's go and have a look in our database. So that'll be over here. That's Azure. I want SQL. SQL Server Object Explorer. Where's it gone? There it is. With our local database. This one here. Come on. Come on, open up for me. Oh, so it's decided to be a bit silly with me. Let's close that SQL Server view down. I'm pretty sure that's where I should be. Yeah, SQL Server Object Explorer. It doesn't seem to want to find my database, does it? How interesting. Those are the system databases. Where's my local database gone? So once again we hit these kind of weird issues, and I'll get a bit exasperated, to be perfectly frank, viewers, because this was fine just a few days ago, and as with my microphone problem I had there, I do wonder what's going on sometimes. Okay, well let's not do that. Let's see if we can connect to the local database through the management studio instead. So we're not going to do that either, so I'm a bit confused. Where's my local database? SQL Server Object Explorer, that's what I thought I wanted to use. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And there's my project. Nothing there. Nothing there at all. Okay. Okay. See, I'm getting some weird things. So my headphones are also not working properly. There we are. They're working. So I think this 1903 update has done something to my kind of basic setup on my PC, which is a bit weird. Okay, let's see if we can get anywhere with this now. We don't want the toolbox. Let's get rid of that. Let's close that. And let's run up our system. Now we're running, and we're going to look at our database. But it doesn't seem to have our database. So where's our database gone? Most odd. Oh, there it is. Local DB. There we are. How strange! It's forgotten the connection. Okay, so thought I was going mad a bit there. So here's our. It hasn't created our table, has it? Okay. So let's go and have a look at that. App data context. Here we've got our DB set with project text in it. I'm configuring options builder. So that should have created it. Repository is just our access layer, our data access layer, so that's not relevant. Here's our initial designer. That's what's creating the initial migrations. No title on the stream, I think. There's no title on the stream. Really? There should be. I've just updated it. So, all a bit weird then. There should be episode 30, adding a project command to AlphaBot should be the title of the stream. Does it not say that, Links Lumps? There now, is it? I've just refreshed it from OBS, so maybe it took a while to come through. That's good. Okay. Okay. So why is our entity framework not taking notice of the fact we've added a table? Data context. We have DB set there. We got our get sets. So let's go and have a look in. Let's go and have a look over here. Entity framework. Add a table. So this is not what we want to do. This is we're doing code first. Oh, I think that's probably the problem, isn't it? Where's the rest of our code that we need for this? So we've created our data entity here, project text. So time message here. Let's go and follow that around. That's where it is. We access it in the repository. Page model for the pages, bindings. That's our definition again. So it's all a bit. I'm slightly confused, I must admit. I thought we'd done enough to get that created. There we are. So I wonder if we haven't. There's just one step we must have missed here. Okay, so since you're working on a different course before you okay, so maybe actually it's probably me because I didn't update the message through the stream title through Twitch. I did it through OBS, so maybe it took a while to filter up to OBS. Oh, we need to do add migration. So I'm forgetting my basics, aren't I, here? So we need to actually go to the command prompt. We need to add a migration. So let's go and do that now. So let's go to PowerShell. So I think we can do it from here. So .NET, yeah, I think it will be. Migrations. Add. give it a project, the web project. Let's see if it will add that migration for us. So we need to give it a name. Okay, fair enough. I will say a name of this project text. Name equals. Let's just try that. Yeah, we've got a migration now. There we are. Okay, so now we should be able to run our project up and get that migration to apply. It's funny how when you don't do these things every day, you kind of forget the stuff. So, but we got there in the end. Let's have a look at SQL Server. Let's do a refresh of the tables. And we now have project text sitting here. Okay, so we've got our table created. So that's good. Okay, we can close that out. Right, so we have our table. So let's just create a commit with that. So added project text table to EF. Commit that. Okay. So the next thing we need to be able to do is actually edit that. We need to be able to put data into it, and we can do that through our web front end. So we have a set of pages here. They're razor pages, and we can use those to actually create our data. So let's start off. So sorry, Dev, the bot's not running because it's actually working on the bot at the moment. So your help command won't work at that point. But hopefully we'll get the command that we're kind of trying to write here, this project command, working fairly soon, so we can actually have the bot running. Okay, let's have a look at our index page. So this is our main front page for the bot. We want to have a new bind property, which is going to be our project text. Like that. There we go, and so that's our model, that index model. And then down here we want to have project text. It's going to equal, we're going to reach into our repository, and we're going to do a list of project text. Project text. It's going to be core data project text, but we'll correct that in a second. Core.data. Okay. So we've got that. And then, so that should bring it onto our page once we stick it on there. So, design web build, thank you very much for the follow. Wonderful. So let's give you some Electric Elf hype for that. Thank you. This is Electric Elf. Thank you for the follow. Every follow is much appreciated. Okay. Yes, I'm using the list. I'm using list here. It's just because there can be more than one. Shocking. Very good. Line 41, I need a semicolon. I do need a semicolon. Thank you for keeping an eye on me. I do miss these things sometimes. So obviously it won't compile, so we'll spot it straight away. But great, thank you for keeping an eye on the code. Okay, well, where are we now? So let's on post we're going to yes, we're just going to bring back all these things, aren't we? So project text and project text over here. Okay, So that's the code behind for our index page sorted. Let's go and have a look at the actual markup page. So what we're going to want to have here is another panel on here. We'll just copy this text here and pop it down here. That's the wrong panel. That's not what we want at all. It's this panel here we want. This is the startup message. Basically, it's very similar to a startup message. So we'll pop that there. And we're going to be going off to project create. Project text. So let's just go through and put all this lot in. So this is pretty crude code. I'm not too worried about this being the most elegant code in the world at the moment. The idea is to get something working. Once we've got it working, then we can tidy up and make it look good and make it look pretty, really. And here we go, as an edit, so project edit. Project text ID edit. Okay, so that's that bit. So we need to get rid of extraneous closing div. So this here is going to be project text. Okay. So we've got that index page, and we've got our code behind for the index page. We now need to create the pages to do the editing. But once again, this is going to be the same kind of stuff as we've got here for the startup message. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that folder and paste that in. And we're going to change it name. Oops. Change the name here to project. And we're going to go now into these areas here. So under the create, we just need to go through and update all of this. So I'm not really worried about just going through and copying and pasting information like this, because what we're doing basically is just setting up so we can get our commands and data. So this is really isn't this isn't the kind of the be all or end all of the stream, really. We're not really that interested in doing this. This is just something we've got to do. Plus key on the new pad extends the selection. Yeah, I remember all that. Certainly, thanks. Keep reminding me of these. Shortcuts in CodeRush, because I do forget. I just noticed we've got some fixing up to do on that that startup message page. Hung about. I'm editing the wrong file, so let's undo that change. Let's undo that. Okay, make sure we work it. So let's close some of these things down, because I'm actually working in the wrong file there. Lots of things open. Lots and lots of things open. Okay, that should be enough. So let's go back and make sure we do this correctly this time. So we spelt project wrong. I'll just fix that. And it is these elements here that we need to be working on. However, I did notice that in here this should be index. And we'll just check in here. Yeah, this should be, once again, This should be index. So we'll just correct those because I've actually moved the pages around, which is why they're wrong. Okay. So now we can go back into where we need to be. Let's close that down. So our create here, this is going to be project text. And don't worry about the fact it's underlined in red at the moment. We'll fix that up in a bit. And we don't need this div. This is index. And this is text. Okay. Let's go into the code behind for that. I'll call it code behind. It's obviously not quite code behind really, but so this is the create model. And so here, that blah blah blah, that's correct. We don't need to have statuses because we don't have that for this. Project text is going to equal that, and that's going to be that. Once again, there's no statuses for the project text. The other messages have active and the active and draft and disabled statuses. Thank you, Sully Dev, for keeping an eye on me. Yeah, we'll try to use some of these new features. I'll say I'm very much learning. How CodeRush works, and I often forget, and because I kind of just get carried away really. Okay, so we can get rid of that, I think. Maybe we can't. No, we should be able to. There we go. Okay, and we can simplify that name as well. Doesn't say simplify on that one. Okay, there we go. We can get rid of those. Okay, so that's our create page. Should be okay. And then we can go off to our edit page. So let's have a look at that. Once again, we're on project, not project. So I think that's an error on the create page as well. That should be project. Better. Okay, and over here we've got an edit model. So we can get rid of this div. And once again we've got project text. Here and here, and that is index, and these ones here are going to be text. There we go. So that's that page, and in the code behind, that's project. We don't need that bind property. So project text. We can simplify that name a bit. Project text here. And once again we can simplify that. This is project. We don't need the statuses anymore. That's going to be project text again. Project text and project there. I don't think we use this method, but we'll just implement it just in case we do use it. Okay. That's project text. And over here as well. And we can simplify that. So this is all just like ceremony to set this up. Okay. So we see what that's done for us. That's why it's far at the bottom. Edit the first error message too. There's an error message there. Was that on the create? Yes, you're right. And we can do this tidying up of those as well. Yep, that looks okay. And over here, project edit. Let's fire it up, so if we compile first and then see if that does it for us. Okay. So it's not create project text, so let's create some project text, and the project text is today we are adding a project command to AlphaBot. Create that. Okay, it didn't create anything, so let's go and pop some code in here. So let's have a breakpoint there. And try again. Let's see what happens. Where are we? Here we are. Create project text. Test. Create. We're not wired up properly, are we, here at the moment? So that's why it's not working. So let's pop back over here and have a look what's going on. So we did a kind of bit of a whirlwind kind of fix to get this working. Let's see where we've gone wrong. So we're not hitting that breakpoint, so we need to go to the create at the front here, and what's going on here? So we submit, create, and we're not posting back to the right place by look it. That's interesting. So that looks okay. We bind into the right model. Create model for pages project. Okay, what's in index? Let's go and check our index page again. So we're here. Here's our project create with that link, project create. Okay, looks okay. And in the code behind with create, this is project, breakpoint in there, run it up. Rest in there for now. So we hit, yeah, we have hit here. Project text was null. Really? We seem to skip over that then. Why is it skipping over? The model's valid. Project text isn't null. So that was really weird. So I might leave that. Having learnt my lesson from another stream a couple of days ago, we'll look into if the edit works okay, and we'll leave that oddity there because that's a bit weird. It wasn't null, it skipped over all that text, all that code. So let's see if we can save that. Hit here, and we do save. Okay, well that's very strange. But back here we should have our project command. We've got it twice, but I'll sort all that out. Actually, we'll sort that out now. I don't like the fact we've got it twice. Even though it's not really what we're trying to work on here. Let's go back to the index page. It's because we're displaying status as well, but I'll do it. Yeah, so we need to. It's only one. We don't need anything in there at all, basically. And the same in there. Okay, if we run that up now, we should be okay with the display, and we'll stop fiddling with the web front end part of it at that point, I think, and then move on to the rest. So there we are. There's our command. We can edit it over here. And what we do is we need to put a card around it like these ones are and just tidy it up. But at this point we just want to get something working. Okay. Linkslumps, you're going to go and learn some more Vue. Good luck with the bot. Thank you very much, Linkslumps, and thank you for dropping by. It's very kind of you to stop by, and I know it's not a planned stream, so do appreciate you dropping by. And good luck with your Vue and your CSS and all the other projects you're working on there. Okay, let's get rid of all this text. Well, let's come back into this in a bit. Where was that other project thing? We had a breakpoint in edit and a breakpoint in create, didn't we? And there it was in the edit. Let's get rid of that. Okay, we've got our message created, and we'll worry about the rest of it at some point. Okay. So we've got something in the database, and so the next stage is to actually extract that from the database and actually bring it into our command. So we need to do some kind of setup for that. The first thing we need to do is actually create a model for GraphQL to actually read. So let's create a project text model. So this is, remember, this is a model for GraphQL to use, distinct from the model for Entity Framework. If we get the timed message model, it's very simple. All we're going to do is basically grab this one property, pop it over here and call it text. And that's the extent of our model. Okay. The next thing we need to do is look at types. So we need a GraphQL type. Our GraphQL types are actually defined in our GraphQL project, which is sitting over here in the types area. If we look at a timed message type, you can see it's a very simple definition once again. And what we can do is we can create another one of these. So if we say we're going to create project text type, project text type. Okay, and then we're going to extend the graph object graph type. So this is the GraphQL type which we're extending. We don't we only want one field, and that's going to be text. So we're working with very simple objects in this project. So that's basically all we need to do to set up our GraphQL type. So let's move that off into its own file. And there we are. And we can close those down. The next thing we need to do is look at the bot query. Here we are. This is the bot data query. So this is where we're going to drive the whole of the GraphQL thing from. You can see we've currently got a field in here for getting repeated messages, which is when we have timed messages coming out of the bot. So we want a new field. Okay, and this is going to be a simple type, so it's not a list graph type, it's a simple type, and it's going to be of type project text type, which is the GraphQL type. And we've got to give this a name, which we'll be using in the UI playground for GraphQL, and this will be just called project text. And then we need to provide a resolver, and the kind of pattern I use is to actually use a named parameter there. We have a context for our resolver. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Put that down there, please. There we go. And this is basically going to be, we're going to go and just grab the first element out of the database for the timed message, for the project text. So we're going to our repo, we're going to list project, which is going to be project text this time, the actual concrete type, and we're just going to get first or default. And that's it. That should bring back, we need to return that. So that's all we need to do to actually get GraphQL to return our project text. And we can actually try that out, which is what we should do next to make sure that we've got as far as we can with that. Okay, so you've probably seen before, if you've been on the stream before and you've seen me working with GraphQL, we have a UI playground which we can go to and we can do testing in. And here we are. We can change this to project text, and in project text we should have text. Let's run that, and we have an error. No service type project has been registered. Okay. So what we need to do to fix that up is to pop back. So it says no service has been registered. That's because we need to inject our project text type into the GraphQL framework, and we do that in our startup. So here's where we're doing this. We're doing our injection of services. We need to add the project text type, GraphQL type, so that GraphQL knows about it. Okay, so and this dependency resolver here will sort out any requirements that the query has. Once again, we've covered all this in previous streams. So if you're interested in knowing it, just go back to YouTube and find out about that. If you have any questions about it, I'll try and answer them on stream though, if you really need to know what we're doing here. But that should be enough to get us past that issue. Okay, I'm sorry about all the messages keep popping up, but that's just the nature of how we got the bot set up at the moment. Is every time it comes online it will say that. So there we are. We've got GraphQL now reaching into the database and pulling back the first project message that we've got, which is that. So that's working nicely. So we can stop at that point. Okay, having got all the kind of fundamentals out of the way, let's commit those. So set up GraphQL to fetch project text. Commit that. Okay. So what's next? So we need to add a command. And the way I work with commands in the AlphaBot is that we simply add the command to our core project. So we've got a commands folder here, and we have all of the commands that we can use. So we've got the ask command, the cricket command, the help command, the hey SMB command, launches, etc. In order to create a new command, we simply need to create a new class in here. And what happens in our bot command handler, there is a piece of code down here called load commands, and what that basically does, it uses reflection to find all of the implementations of iCommand that are in the assembly, and it basically creates instances of them and loads them into a registry. So there's nothing we need to do in order to add commands to our registry. All we need to do is create the class, and then it will automatically pick it up, and that new command will be available to us. So let's create a new class, and we'll call this the project command. Okay, we make that public, and we're going to inherit from iCommand, which is the interface, which not only defines the methods and properties we need to have available to us, but also enables that magic where the reflection will pick up our commands and load them into our registry automatically. So what we need to do now is to implement that interface, and this is the bare minimum really that you need to implement. So if we go and look at another command, let's go and look at the the hey command. You can see there's some basic information that needs to be set up. So we give the command a name, we give it an initial status of draft, we give some help text, we give it a cooldown if it has a cooldown, and then fill in the rest of the information. So let's start off with that. So here's our status. So what we can do is simply go and get some information off here. So we can grab this code here, the status. I find it slightly annoying that when we do the implementation of these properties, it has those not implemented ones in there. It seems a bit weird to me. There we go. So the command name is project. Spell it correctly. Some help text. Use the project command to find out what we are working on this stream. So a cooldown. So from seconds, 10-second cooldown. So it's unless you're a moderator, you can't use it more than once every 10 seconds, which is fine. Okay. So if we go look at the hey command again, so we need to have a constructor, and we need to get an instance of the bot, which will be passed into us by the injection, So let's grab that, and this is the project command. So we don't need to set the cooldown there, we've already set it above. We've got an instance of bot which we can use. So over in the hey command, the should execute, we're just going to say execute this command if it's active. So that's all the kind of ceremony to set this up. So now we actually need to find out what the command is. What the message is that we're going to use. So to use that, we actually use a GraphQL client. And if I go up here, we can see we've already got a bot graph client created. It implements the iBot client interface. This is an interface I've created, so we need to go and have a look at that first, and that's in the interfaces folder over here. So here's iBot client. The only command it's got at the moment, the only method on it, is get time messages. So let's grab this, and instead of a list of time messages, we simply want a project text model to come back. And this is going to be get project text. Okay, so that's set up for a new command. We can now implement that command. There we go. That's here. So we need a query, and that's what basically all this is going to do for us. Let's pop that code into there. Now, we can basically go and have a look at what we wrote in our playground, which was this query here, and that's what we want. Project text, just the text. So we can now drop that into there. Let's just tidy that up. Okay, and we'll simply give it a let's call it project query. This doesn't actually matter, it's just a name that we're giving each query. It doesn't actually matter. What we do need to do is make sure that that matches, and we match our type, and our type's going to be project text model. This needs to be a async method, which will clear this away issue away, and that should be enough. So this now gives us a get project text method on our strongly typed GraphQL client. The type of the client is bot graph client, so it's not a kind of it's not HTTP client in that sense. It's actually strongly typed. And so those are the commands available to us, which is why we can pass it around and inject it with an iBot client interface. And that injection happens over in the startup class in our web project. Okay, so let's do that then. So var project text is going to equal I'm going to okay, so it's going, because it's asynchronous, we're running into this being asynchronous. Execute, which means that this void is not going to be good. So we're actually going to just to kind of get this working, we're not going to worry about the asynchronous nature of that command. So on the bot we have our client. Okay, it looks like the client's not available to us. Let's have a look at on the bot. So it's bot data client. It's a public method. So it's a public property on bot. So I didn't. So we need, because it's an iBot, we need to actually make it available to via the iBot interface. So let's go and have a look at the iBot interface. That's over here. Yeah, so that's the problem. Let's go over here. Let's grab this and pop it onto iBot. Let's pop it at the top. Okay, so now we should be able to access our client, our GraphQL client, from within this this command. Let's make sure that works. Bot data client, and on here we've got get project text. And I guess it can come back as being null, so let's just change that to string.empty with the null operator there. Okay, oops, they're saying it's not going to come back as null. Oh, that's a task. Okay, so we need to just get the result of that. So this is what we're going to do just to circumvent the yeah, this is where you always kind of hit trouble here, isn't it? I mean that I just want to resolve that. I don't want to await it. Result. Thank you. And now I can't. Presumably I can't then. Oh, it's coming back. That's why it's coming back as the model. So it should be okay. So what we can then say is that that's a project text model, and our project text, that's equal to project text model dot text string empty. So that's what we want to do. Okay. So now we can say if not string dot is null or white space project text, close that off. Else we're going to put some basic default text out. Okay. So in order to post back to the chat, what we need to do is to that's not the best command to look at for posting back. I'll show you how you post back information back to the client. So it has to post back to every connected client. Now AlphaBot, unlike a lot of Twitch bots, it actually doesn't just connect to Twitch. It connects to well, any number of systems really, but at the moment we're connected to both Discord, Slack and Twitch at the same time, and that's represented by something called connected clients. And basically what happens is we run through all the connected clients and execute command against each of them. What we can do is use a chat client .post message command to post back the text which we've got back to the client the Twitch chat or the Discord or Slack client. We pass in the channel that we need to write to, which comes in on the event args, the chat command event args here. That has the channel we want to use. Basically, we can put that in there, and that's going to be project text. Else, we can simply say whoops, looks like SMB forgot to set project text. Okay, and that's basically it. So what we've kind of gone through there is adding a basic command. Just by following, basically all you do is implement the I command and fill in all the information that's required here, requested. And basically then the actual meat of it is whatever lives inside the execute command, execute method here. And you can see by using this GraphQL client, we've reached into our database and pulled some text out, but we've never referenced the database at all. The bot class here doesn't know about the repository. Okay, it simply knows about a client which it can get injected, and that client has all the methods that we need on it, and how those are implemented is completely unknown to us. So basically our command is nicely kind of encapsulating what it does. It's also protected from any implementation details of where the information comes from. So it could be from anywhere. This client needn't be a GraphQL client. It could be any other kind of HTTP client or whatever, and it could be pulling that information from an API, from a file, from anywhere. We don't care. So we've taken care of abstracting implementation details away. So if I'd simply injected an iRepository into here, we do some of that kind of abstraction, but it's going to be some kind of repository. It's going to be a database of some sort. It could be in memory, it could be Redis cache, it could be, you know, SQL Server or Postgres or whatever. But here we've the actual implementation needn't be a database. It could be anything at all at this point, which I found quite neat. So let's run up and see if that works. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll use the Slack client to test it out here. Let's see what happens. So it's pretty terse, add a project command to AlphaBot, but that's the project. So will someone in chat care to try it out in chat? Could you type !project, see what happens in chat. Anyone can do that for me? There we go. Thank you, Dev. So it worked. So in reality, we'd want it a bit nicer kind of message, bit more kind of explanation what we're working on, but the basics are there. So that's adding a new command to AlphaBot, and I think it's a command which is generally useful. I've seen lots of streams with that in. Risk of deadlock, yes. So we need to sort that out. We're not worrying about that right now, but we always worry about result. Yes, we need to sort it out. And what I will do is I'll have to make sure that we can have it asynchronous executes, and that's a relatively straightforward thing we can do. But it wasn't really the point of the stream. It was just to get that command added. And what I don't want to do is go down a rabbit hole of doing all that. So if you put text after project, all that text will be ignored. Surly Dev. That the text you type in is being recorded in the chat command event args. In fact, it will have the string you put in and each of the various elements broken out. And what we can do is we could have, for example, a verbose exclamation point project verbose, and I could have a verbose version of the text, or and normally you only get the short version, short snappy version. No, it probably isn't needed for your Snowball. No, just a test for null. Yeah, it isn't required. But it's just as a stream of consciousness writing. So let's actually remove it, shall we? Because you say it's not actually a requirement. Okay, so let's look at the fact we've had to do a result here then. So it's interesting challenge as to what we can do about that. So we could make this async. Async void, it's not something really you're supposed to have. Yeah, it wouldn't be a slash though, so it'd be exclamation point project verbose. So Fuel Stable, when you were C# dev, you always made is null or white space an extension method. Yeah, so it's there naturally now. So this obviously works, but async void is not something that you really want to be doing. This would be a wait. So really this should be a task. The reason why you don't want an async void is actually if this was to throw yes async unit, exactly what it needs to be for your Snowball. This is going to throw, this void is actually going to lose any information which is rolled up in that task object. It doesn't actually matter to us at this stage, so we could leave it like that. Maybe you find that as a more satisfactory way of leaving it. The problem we're going to have is that on the iCommand interface, which is where's iCommand? Here, we'd need to change execute to have a task signature. Now, would that be such a bad thing? Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just pop this into Git, commit this. So we've implemented the project command. Okay, so now we can always get back to that position. Let's change this to task. And now we're going to have to go to all of our commands and change this to task. So let's go and do that and see what effect, if any, that has on what we're doing. I'm not sure what to return because we're not actually Can't just return any old thing, can we? This is where we want the task of unit. Yeah, I'm not sure about. We could try returning null. So I'm not sure the effects of doing that, but we can try it. So that's the help commands. We need to go through all the other commands and do something similar. So here we have this is the ask command. And we've got cricket command. Hey command. What else have we got? Launches command. Feels weird returning nulls. Just define unit, yeah. If only we could just do that, eh? Wrong place for that. There. Task in there. Use command. That's there. And make that task. And then the skeet command is the last one. And we'll tidy this up by not actually returning null so many times. We'll just put some wrappers around it so it only does a single return. But let's just see if this as a concept flies. Let's see if we build. Okay, let's see what happens. So Fuel Snowball introduced unit to a bunch of C++ devs when Ericsson had lots of benefits for the code base, because of course an unknown concept. At least the unit class itself is about as easy a definition as you can get, but I think it's also confused. What function does it fill then? Yes, okay. Where am I? Okay, looks like I missed some namespaces out. What's it saying? Did I really miss so many out? adventure game command does not implement interface. Okay. Hey command doesn't implement interface. Okay. That needs to be task. That. And then the adventure command. So this is our fully featured text adventure. That's the where's the adventure command live? Adventure game command. So goes in there. Okay. Well, we needed to bring that namespace in. Okay. Let's run it up and see what happens. So Skeet works. Use tech. That works. Just make this a bit bigger so you can see it. So that's technology news. So we'll try launches. ULA. That's launches. Launches. ULA. United Launch Alliance. So it should get some launches back for them. So Atlas 5. Yep. The 7th of June. What else do we have? Ask. What is Starlink? Will it find something? Yeah, it's found that information. What else did we have? We had hey. Oh, that doesn't work. It only works in chat. So could someone type hey in, please? Exclamation point hey. Yeah, fuel snable. We haven't got the fuel snable command yet. We'll do a special where we do one of those, and yeah, that works. Thank you very much for that. So the dev, so it looks like it all works. So hey's on cooldown at the moment, so that's good. So you get a 1 minute cooldown on that. It's hey with an E, fuel snable, HEY. It's on cooldown still. Looks like that all works then. We've got our cricket command. Let's just go through all the commands. Cricket. Yeah, and we got some cricket scores because I'm into cricket. And we won't do the. Let's run the text adventure and see. ADV. So here I am in my text adventure. There you go. Yeah, so that's all working brilliantly. Okay, so let's address that issue just by changing the. You tried both. Yes, you want to cool down, I think. Could there even be an adventure bot? You could have an adventure bot, yeah. You could pull that text adventure completely out of this and plug it into something else. For example, you could put it into an AI chatbot. Yeah, it worked this time, so thank you for that. You could put it into a conversational chatbot, for example, and then have some of the artificial intelligence sorting that out. So we did ask, we did cricket, we didn't do help. Someone could do help. Yeah, so let's do help. Yeah, they are, and the other one was just project again. Someone could type project in. Yeah, there's a Skeet command working, the project command's working, so it's all working quite nicely. So I'm going to switch the bot off now. Sorry, I just did it before you typed in there, guys. So bot's now switched off. So let's commit this then. change signature of command execute to from void return void to return task. And I'll need to go in and tidy some of this stuff up, I think, before we commit that. So let's go. The adventure command's okay. The skeet command, I think, is one where we're going to want to sort this out. So what we want to say is, if that is active, and quotes, which we are going to want to move into the database at some point, but they're not in the database at the moment. So let's whack that change in. To tidy that up a bit, that's made the skeet command a bit neater. The news command, we can do a similar thing here. Rather than the early returns which we were doing, we can just do it more nested. And you can see here that this restrict to client type here is what's meaning that the hey command only works through Twitch chat. It doesn't make any sense to try and attract my attention through Discord or Slack. It's only on chat that we're going to do that. That's the hey command. The news command. Yeah, we'll just do the same kind of change here, I think. Just to neaten the code up so we haven't got lots of return statements. I'm not that bothered about having multiple return statements. I know some people are. But it doesn't bother me particularly, but in the case where we're just returning null, it does look a bit odd. Okay, that's that news command. Launches command. Once again, we'll just change that. That blank space, that'll just bug me later on in the code. So that's the launches command. Cricket command. Oh, was that the launches command? Launches command's fine anyway. Yeah, that's okay, don't mind that one. Cricket command we just sorted out. Ask command, we'll do the same to this. In fact, I'll just make sure that I did change the cricket command to be, yeah, it is active. Yeah. Ask command we've done. Stop command again. Okay. I think that's all of them. Git command. Yeah. Okay, let's just run that through again. Okay, you guys in chat, you're ready to type in some commands. So SurlyDev's been using returns all over the place in lieu of nesting or for lit statements. I absolutely agree. I'd rather have multiple returns. I haven't pushed the code yet. I'll push the code just before we finish, SullyDev. So can someone type another command, a cricket command or the launches command, just to make sure we've gone through all of those. I'll do some on over here as well. We'll do skeet. That's working. Cricket. That's working. News strange. So news, news, not new. News strange. Get some strange news. Yeah, launches is working. Launches NASA worked. Of course, the launches for NASA are interesting, aren't they? Artemis 1, 2020. Artemis 2, September of 2021 was it? Something like that. There we go. So we got some cricket scores coming up. It was ask, wasn't it? Let's do an ask command. Ask, what is cricket? There we go, some cricket. Actually, completely different thing. It's given something about a wireless operator called Cricket Wireless. That's interesting. So ask, what else should we ask about? What is the airspeed velocity of a swallow? So 11 meters per second. So you notice it says there, please note that 5 ounce burst cannot carry a 1 pound coconut. So if you know your Monty Python references. Yeah, John Henry Bonham, that's not me, is it? An English musician. So this is the drummer from Led Zeppelin, whose statue is not far from where I live. The Bonham name is quite common in this area where I live, and it is not beyond the bounds of possibility I might be distant related to John Bonham, but that's by no means proven. And my ancestors were very much more humble in their beginnings. Okay, let's stop the bot then. I think we've managed to do a nice refactoring there to get asynchronous commands working good inside the commands there. I've done genealogy, so I've gone back to 1795, where my family were silk ribbon weavers or farm labourers. So there's no blue blood in my, not in the line, my direct line anyway. The male line doesn't include anyone like that. So I'm of kind of mixed kind of heritage really. We've got some Irish and Welsh and English all kind of in equal proportions. Although I think the Welsh is more to the fore, so yeah, which is why I do speak a little bit of Welsh occasionally. Okay, so I think what we're going for now, what we're going for an hour and 40 minutes near enough. I think what we'll do, I'll just push this up to look, I didn't commit that, did I? I didn't commit that, so let's go back to changes. So you're right, SullyDev, I didn't commit those changes that we made there. So let's do that now, and then we'll sync those up. So we should have added project text table, set up GraphQL, implemented the project command, and then change the signature. So that's all we want to push up. Let's push that up to GitHub, and that'll be available to you if you need to look at it. Yeah, I think it's find someone to raid. So the next Codebase Alpha stream will be hopefully the usual time tomorrow. So that'll be 9 PM in the evening, UK time. That's 8 o'clock in the evening UTC. So I'll be very pleased to see you on there. We'll be continuing with more of our. That's right, 8 PM GMT stroke UTC and 9 PM British Summer Time. So they'll be pulling it as you speak. Good, thank you. And then if anyone wants to submit any kind of PRs or even just update my documentation for me, that'd be very, very well received. What I'm going to do is actually do that. I'll update the documentation while we're on stream still. So we'll say that we added a new command. So project. gives viewers information about the current project being developed on stream. Okay, that's that. Look onto the bot. Let's just preview that. Gives viewers information about the current project being developed on stream. That sounds good to me. Let's commit that change as well. So you have the latest README, and we'll go and find someone to raid, shall we? So let's go and have a look. Thank you for the follow, by the way, from Design Web Build. That was very, very much appreciated. Okay. So Honest Dan Games is on. I don't know if he's doing any game. He's doing game dev. Yeah, let's go and raid Honest Dan. You added Mark Miller to the awesome developer streams. I didn't know he was on there. Michael Jolly, is he streaming? He should be on my list if he's streaming. Let's see if he is. Let's go over to I can't see that Michael Jolly is streaming at the moment. I should be on that list, Surly Dev. I added myself a couple of weeks ago. So Hertabuzz, I have a question about streaming. You want to start streaming interview prep programming, coding like HackerRank or LeetCode. Do you reckon doing this on Twitch, or is that bad? It's a very good idea. Hertabuzz, very good idea. Actually, if you check out another stream called Dev Chatter, which you may know about, on Friday he streamed doing a coding exercise which he was given as part of a job application, and it was very interesting for people to see how you approach those kind of tasks. So I think it's a fantastic idea. So please do it. Yeah, definitely. If you have any questions about wanting to know, any questions about how to start streaming or like that, here's my Discord. Go and join that, and we can chat about it. I can also put you in touch with other people who can help you set up streaming. Yeah, but that'd be an absolutely fantastic idea. So, do you think Chris Jones is actually streaming at the moment? I don't know. He's hosting me at the moment. Let's try Chris Jones then. So what was his handle? Sorry, TMJ. So we'll go and raid him. Okay, so thanks for watching this unexpected episode, and he's actually hosting me. We won't bother raiding then. I'll just say goodbye, and Hertabuzz, do let me know how you get on. So thanks everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow.